Hey guys, welcome to episode 453 of my epic Minecraft Let's Play XD. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the video for more amazing original content exactly like this. And if donate to my Patreon, and if we get to 6,000 likes on this video, I'll upload the next one. So let's get started. I'm just gonna dig right there. Oh! Oh! Oh!
Herobrine is a pretty well-known video game creepypasta. Most people who have played the insanely popular video game Minecraft have heard of it, or at least the character. Hell, the developers of the game play along with the idea by occasionally putting removed Herobrine in the patch notes for updates. I like that. It's just fan service really, but it's cute, and it's cool to see developers interacting with their fans. For better, or worse.
I was wondering, what's the recommended amount of dedicated RAM I should have to the server?
Get off it! My name is Doug, and I have Mesothelioma.
But let's take a good look at this story. I've looked around on YouTube briefly, and as far as I can tell, I'm at least one of the first to do an in-depth review on the story. There's lots of videos for Herobrine mods and shit, but none on the creepypasta. Sure, there's readings, but those aren't reviews, really. So this is new ground, and that's always exciting for me. This pasta is really short. I can fit the entire thing on my screen without having to scroll down with room to spare. So I'm gonna skip the numbered transitions I usually go for in this one and just talk about it in a sort of stream of consciousness way, so let's get started. Minecraft is probably one of the best and also one of the worst games to base a creepypasta on. Now what do I mean by that? Well, Minecraft is an open world sandbox indie game, and at the time the pasta was written, while the game was still in alpha, people weren't insanely dedicated to taking note of every single thing added in each update or data mining the game. So the possibilities for creepy things to happen, especially with Minecraft's almost apocalyptic, lonely, desolate atmosphere, were basically endless. However, Minecraft is also stupid popular, enough to have its own convention.
I'm sorry, could you please repeat your question?
Dedicated RAM to a server.
We see a lot of things that we don't let get to you because it's not time appropriate, it's insensitive, it's just wrong. And that was wrong. And that won't happen again on my watch. And I'm sorry.
My name is Doug, and I have Mesothelioma.
And with an, at the time, small dev team who weren't shy to talk to their fans about these sorts of things. So it's missing out on the obscurity that something like Pale Luna has, and with a game that's dirt cheap to buy and also easy to search or even edit the files for anything interesting. But again, this game was largely the first of its kind, a world that may as well have been endless with infinite possibilities as to what could be out there. So problems I mentioned aside, it's not a half bad premise. I mean, sure, the idea of a video game creepypasta in general is so fucking beaten and dead it's buried right next to Pale Luna, but I can't blame the writer for wanting to take advantage of this. But let's get into the story to see if the premise is all it has going for it. Our story begins with our protagonist booting up a new Minecraft world and dicking around for a bit, basically. Aside from one minor thing, this beginning section is actually pretty alright. He has a computer that can't run the game very well, so he has to use the low graphical settings that create a thick layer of Silent Hill tier fog. For such a simple looking game, Minecraft is actually surprisingly hardware intensive, so it's a realistic way of setting up atmosphere for the picture. The picture itself isn't a bad Photoshop, but I almost feel like it would have been easier to just reskin a zombie or something and give it Herobrine's skin, or simply just actually play in multiplayer and remove the name tag in Photoshop. Anyway, I like how subtle the story starts off. In any other video game creepypasta, there would be dead animals everywhere whose corpses haven't despawned, burning forests, rampant destruction.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
But it's just little minor things. There's pyramids of sand being built, trees have their leaves shaven off, there's small tunnels. These are obviously man-made structures, but they're not like fucking shrines to Satan made out of lava and obsidian or something. It makes it seem like Herobrine is a mob like any other with artificial intelligence, making structures and moving things around, kind of like the Endermen added later in the game, who are based off of Slender Man. Isn't that something? However, it may be a bit too subtle. Herobrine does not feel like a malicious force. If the creepers and skeletons and zombies walking around harbor more threat to the player, then why should we feel scared of some weird homeless guy who's just wandering around the wasteland? Don't judge him. He might just need fare to get on a bus so we can get to the part of town with the four-way intersection that's perfect for panhandling. Don't judge me either. It would make it a bit better if there were maybe traps laid around the world, like big pits scattered all over the place that would kill the player if he fell down, or something else subtle but malicious like that. I'm not asking to have Herobrine charge at the player with a sword imbued with dark magic or some crap. That'd be fucking stupid. On the topic of subtlety, I'd also like to bring up Herobrine's name briefly. It's not a bad name, but then I'm comparing it to other video game pastas, so I think I'm just grateful his name isn't something like Minecraft.exe, Bloodstab, the Blocky Butcher, or Shadow the Hedgehog. Back to the story, there are a few problems with this setup. One minor thing is that our main character originally thinks that Herobrine is a cow in the distance and goes after him to get some leather for armor. Leather armor has always sucked and has always been a waste of time to get, so I find it hard to believe that anyone would seek it out. This was before leather was required to make books or before cows dropped meat. They're basically useless at this point. Again, it's a minor thing, but it takes you out of the story if you've played the game, which it's safe to assume you have if you're reading the story in the first place. Something else is that there's really no build-up to Herobrine's appearance. He shows up in the first paragraph and then he fucks off. He's never seen again in-game. After this is when we see the man-made structures I brought up earlier. If it were me writing this story, I would have reversed the order of these events, so we already have some pacing issues. Now I get to the bit where the story really starts to fall apart. When he goes to the Minecraft forums to ask around about the character he sees, his topics are almost instantly deleted. He keeps trying with the same result and then gets a PM from a user named Herobrine, which only says, "Stop." This is where my suspension of disbelief starts to fall apart. We're now basically implying that this character has some sort of control over technology, or is maybe a real person who's like hacked the game or something. They have a Minecraft forum account and they typed a message. They must have some sort of control over technology. Again, if I were writing this, I'd have him go on the forums to have his sightings confirmed by other people, making it seem more like this is something the creators intentionally put in rather than some cover-up conspiracy. I mentioned in my Squidward suicide vs. Candle Cove video that having more people acknowledge something's existence makes it more believable, but it's important to not have too many. If a bunch of people acknowledge his existence, he would seem too common. Herobrine should be fucking hard to come across in-game. Also, the Minecraft forums are huge, so it would be nearly impossible to disprove that these people conversed about this character without sifting through thousands of posts. Anyways, someone from the forums does message him about having seen Herobrine and knows a small group of people who have seen him, but again, it feels like simply knowing about this character is part of some sort of big conspiracy. Too much weight is put on this being so important and secretive. So now we get to where the story really falls apart and I have to stop making excuses or rewrites. A month later, he gets a message from his, and I'm quoting the story, informant. Again, it's too much. I'd say a simple message on the forum would suffice, but the information that he's been given is what ends up breaking the story completely. His people have done some digging, and it turns out that the name Herobrine was in use by a Swedish gamer, who of course, turns out to be the creator Notch's brother. Our main character personally emails Notch and asks him about this really personal information concerning his brother. Notch actually replies with, "I did, but he is no longer with us." And now we've gone full bend round territory. The Herobrine character is not a mob the creators put in as a fun secret or Easter egg. It's not even someone who hacked the game and got into people's single player worlds. It's the ghost of the creator's dead brother. I have so many problems with this. First of all, I highly doubt that Notch or any game developer, indie or otherwise, would actually give out this information to some random person via email. If you are going to go for this twist, which I don't see why you would. Then have it so that they go onto Herobrine's Steam account or something, only to find that he hasn't logged on for ages, even years maybe. That way they can come to the conclusion that he died on their own, and there's a little bit of implicity to it. Has he? Hasn't he? Is he dead? What's going on? Second of all, it's far too easy to disprove this, because Notch himself has gone on record just to disprove this creepypasta, because somehow people actually fell for it and think this is real, to say that he does not have a brother, dead or otherwise. Third, this story worked much better when it seemed like this was just a secret rare mob that the developers put in for fun. It harkened back to the days of video game urban legends, like Mew under the truck in Pokemon or the Bigfoot roaming around in Grand Theft Auto. PC game developers especially love to code in random Easter eggs and secrets. Did you know that if you put a painting easel in a Stokesosaurus exhibit in Zoo Tycoon 2, it'll put on glasses and start painting? It was hard enough to disprove in that regard that I can understand newer players who didn't know much about the game or how to look into the files believing it. I mean, sure, that wouldn't be very scary, but the story as it stands isn't that scary either, which is another big problem I have with it. I know I've complained about stories being way too long in the past, but this one I think is actually too short. There's not enough time to build up suspense, the pacing is all wrong, and the ending is far too rushed and cliched. So I'm not sure if this could have been a great video game creepypasta, but it could have been a perfectly fine modern day video game urban legend, and that would have been enough for me. As it stands, it's not very good. It had potential, but it managed to fizzle it out in record time, a grand total of 4 paragraphs in. However, it is mercifully short, so I can't exactly hate it, and it had a decent enough premise to hold it up. It is still sad that I can call this one of the better video game pastas I've read. So thanks for watching. I know this was a shorter video, but I needed a break from big, in-depth ones anyway. I'm sure there's more holes in the story that you guys can figure out, so if you find them, leave them in the comments, or just tell me what you'd like me to review or read next. Also, you can follow me on Twitter to see what video I'm working on next, or how far I am into it. Until next time, see ya.